What's going on, you guys? Rolando Romero comes out and says that Errol Spence, he's going to be afraid to get cracked by Keith one-time Thurman. He just simply don't like punchers. Rolando Romero, as we know for the past several months, has been pretty vocal about fighting Errol Spence Jr. Called him oogly, called him ugly, said he just want to punch him in the face. For whatever reason, Rolando Romero has been taking shots at Errol the Truth Big Fish Spence Jr. But in regards to the Keith Thurman fight that has been mandated by the WBC, we haven't heard much from Errol Spence since. We haven't heard from Keith Thurman as well. But Rolando Romero says this, quote, "It's an easy fight to make and they don't want to fight. Then they don't want to fight each other. Thurman took a lot of time off. He fought Barrios in the first week of February. That was the first time he fought in 2 years. That's a lot of layoffs and all that stuff. Honestly, I wish Keith Thurman was more active with his career. I did like him. He could crack. He's a good fighter, you know. Spence is the more active fighter. That's where it's going to go. The money is with Spence. Spence is the one that is going to be selling the fight. Thurman has the mouthpiece, but the one selling the fight right now is Spence out of the two. Yeah, Spence is coming from Big Texas. Spence is the guy who's more recent, who fought more recently against Dennis Ugas. Even though Keith Thurman will be selling the fight with his mouthpiece, Errol Spence will be the money of the fight. Then he says, as I said, Thurman goes inactive for damn near 3 years, not even just inactive, but completely inactive off social media and everything. He's kind of been a ghost. And that's true. Keith one-time Thurman has been not only inactive in the ring, but pretty inactive on social media, having a social media presence as well. He'll come out every now and again and say this and say he's getting back and stuff like that. But Keith Thurman, for the mass majority, for I want to say damn near 4 or 5 years, has been criminally inactive. Then he says, we'll see. Thurman can crack. And I'll be honest, Spence doesn't like punchers, man. Every time Spence fights punchers, he's like this, fighting at a distance the entire time. So Rolando Romero says Spence don't like to fight punchers. And I already gave my thoughts on a potential fight between Spence and Thurman. A lot of people start throwing tomatoes at me. It's all good. But that's something to take note. Not only is Keith Thurman a fleet-footed fighter who we know can come off a layoff and still fight a hard 12, and his legs don't seem to fatigue, right? He could punch. Not only could he punch, he don't necessarily telegraph his punches, and his punches can come from pretty odd angles while he's on the move. He can fight backwards and laterally, something Errol Spence hasn't seen as a professional. Then Rolly says, he just long and lanky. That's what it is. Like I said, he doesn't have a killer instinct, and he's not going to go in there and try to kill Thurman because Thurman will just crack. Wow. So he said Errol Spence don't got no killer instinct and that he just not going to go in there and try to kill Thurman. Damn. He says Ugas isn't a puncher and Ugas hurt him. When Spence got cracked, he went back and chilled out for a while. He doesn't want to get cracked by Thurman. Like I said, I don't know how good Thurman is anymore because Thurman has been laid off for a long time. Maybe it was Thurman from a few years back, but he took a lot of time off. And that's something to take note in regards to Thurman. If you're favoring Thurman into this matchup, he hasn't been as active as one would have liked. Prior or after the Manny Pacquiao fight, it's been 2 years since we saw him. 2 years plus. I believe it's 2 years plus since we saw Thurman. Before the Manny Pacquiao fight, how many years was before that? Probably about another year and a half, 2 years, right? So he got about a good 4 years, maybe even 5 of inactivity for Keith one-time Thurman, where he's actually off without fighting. Not even once a year, right? So that's something to take note going into the matchup. Of course, Errol Spence himself has been somewhat inactive due to injuries and things of that nature, right? It's not like these guys just can't find fights. They're inactive for just reasons unknown, you know, injuries, problems, you know, whatever the case may be, right? Far removed from being in the sport of boxing and as fighters. Rolly says Errol Spence is the number one on his hit list for him besides a rematch with Gervonta Tank Davis. Let's do it, says Rolly when Spence management for a fight in March. The same way Crack got him, the same way Ugas got him, Crack him, says how he would beat up Spence. He doesn't want to get cracked. Knowing Spence, he's going to try and stay a mile away. Wow. So Rolando Romero is still taking shots at Errol Spence, and he's coming at Spence like Spence is soft. that's the only way I could take this, right? From a smaller, younger fighter who really hasn't done quite as much in the sport, right? He ain't become a world champion or anything. He's talking about Spence like Spence is soft, and they on the same side of the street. But nonetheless, man, Spence versus Thurman. We should be hearing some type of announcement soon. We should be hearing something soon. I don't know. But it's likely going to happen in 2023. Tell me what you guys think. Rolando Romero says that Errol Spence Jr. is going to stay away from Keith Thurman because Keith Thurman can crack. Like, subscribe, holla at your boy. Peace out.